Malden, Massachusetts, just north of Boston, doesn't generally top anybody's list of paranormal hotspots within the United States. Besides an average number of local hauntings, what supernatural claim to fame could this enchanting East Coast community possess? Only the possible birthplace of the secret to immortality. His name was Ephraim Gray, and like most recluses in Malden or any other small town during the mid-19th century, his bizarre habits and mysterious nocturnal schedule kept his neighbors in a constant state of wonder. And then there was that hideous odor emanating from his home. What was it? The stench of harsh chemicals? To what means? Was Ephraim an inventor? Was he conjuring up the undead? Was Mr. Gray a Victorian-era Dr. Frankenstein? For years, only Ephraim and his obedient manservant were made privy to the unusual events taking place within the Gray household at all hours of the night. And then, one day in 1850, all was revealed, as Ephraim's domestic servant crossed the threshold of the local police department, reporting that the reclusive Mr. Gray had died of natural causes, whilst the town of Malden slept the previous evening. The assistant proceeded to relate that Ephraim had been a self-trained chemist, spending the greater portion of his life developing an elixir that would put an end to his aging and guarantee him immortality. According to the servant, although Mr. Gray had failed to perfect his secret to life eternal prior to his death, he had ingested enough of whatever potion he did create over the years to make certain his corpse would withstand the process of decay once buried. Being the sole heir to his master's estate, the servant was ensured Ephraim's legacy only upon having made certain Mr. Gray's corpse was transported directly from its home to a sealed crypt in the Malden cemetery, without interim stops for embalming or autopsy. Living up to his word, the attendant carried out his late employer's single request. Of the mysterious elixir of immortality, the formula was never found, even following the servant's death a number of years succeeding. Enter a handful of curious Harvard students some 2 decades later, a group who had heard tale of Ephraim's grand quest and required their own closure to the story. The assemblage trekked to Ephraim's grave in hopes of uncovering whether or not his corpse had lived up to its legend and actually staved off the ravages of decay. Prying open the coffin in the dead of night, there's no way the students could have prepared themselves for what they would find: a perfectly preserved Ephraim Gray, lacking even the slightest hint of decay. In fact, according to the curious pupils, Ephraim looked as if he was still alive. Their questioning appetites satiated, the students sealed the casket, entombing Mr. Gray once again below ground, and made a solemn oath to keep their midnight grave tampering adventure to themselves, lest they be expelled from medical school. As the 20th century roared in, propelled by gasoline engines on metal-spoke tires, the need to relocate the Malden cemetery arose, making way for a road directly through the burial grounds. The exhumation of caskets went off without a hitch until cemetery employees hoisted one Ephraim Gray's coffin from the earth and found it to be abnormally light. Upon opening the funerary box, the gravediggers discovered the sarcophagus empty. The mysterious disappearance of Mr. Gray's body caused word of the young medical student's midnight excursion several years prior to surface. The pupils, now all middle-aged members of society, swore beyond doubt they had resealed Ephraim's coffin with extreme care, leaving his corpse where they found it. To this day, the whereabouts of Ephraim Gray's body remain a mystery. How the body disappeared is also a paranormal conundrum without answer. Is it possible Ephraim Gray unraveled the enigma that has eluded mankind for millennia? The secret to immortality? If such is the case, does Ephraim continue to walk the earth, destined to live forever while the rest of us age and eventually die? Have you ever met someone who just seemed too intelligent, too knowledgeable about a century past, as though they could have only attained such wisdom through first-hand experience? Look closely. Does that person seem to defy the aging process? If so, take heed. You may be in the presence of Ephraim Gray.